On Friday, April the 6th, on their way to a playoff game in Nipawin, the Humboldt Broncos had a very unfortunate accident, leaving 15 people passed away following the accident. And it's something that has affected many people and even people close to the Fourth Line family. In talking with people, we had former co-host Gary. He was connected with the team very closely. Coach of the Humboldt Broncos, Darcy Hogan, was his coach in Peace River at the time, and he just wanted to pass along these comments as well. So from Gary, he says, My heart and prayers go to the families and friends of the victims from Friday's tragic accident. I want to pay my respects to my former coach and mentor, Darcy Hogan. From my first day in Peace River to the end of my junior career, Darcy was invested in my character and development. He was determined to turn me into a leader, and he led by example. After my first season, Darcy met me at the rink and ran me through drills to help me improve my weak areas of play, all in preparation for upcoming training camps for other teams. He was invested in my growth, even if it benefited another team. I was billeted with Darcy's parents, Leroy and Shirley, for a year, and they welcomed me in like another son. Through them, it was easy to see where Darcy got his character and firm foundation in Christ. They helped me feel at home when my family was so far away. Darcy loved the game of hockey. He could recount goals and stories from the last 15 years. His junior days playing with Sheldon Surrey, to his strategy for the shootout while playing for Carenport, to traveling to Sweden and meeting other Canadians at the end of every game. You could tell he loved every moment by the way he told the story. That passion translated into coaching, and it showed. Darcy had the gift of inspiration. When you were on top, he made you feel like you could reach higher. When you were down, he would lift you up. In the tough moments during a game, his confidence spread calmness across our team. With the captain of the ship so steadfast, I always felt like we were about to win. It was not uncommon for our team to be up 4 or 5 goals after the first period because of his pre-game speech. Even years after his last game, Darcy would always answer the phone and our conversation would pick up where we left off. I always knew he believed in me, at my best and at my worst. Darcy helped mold me into the man I am today. His honesty, integrity, generosity, faith, and love of the game has shaped the lives of hundreds of men, and he will be deeply missed across all the hockey landscape. May he rest in peace. I think we echo those sentiments as well. From Darcy to the rest of the Humboldt Broncos, let's just take a moment to put them in our thoughts and prayers before we continue on with the rest of the show.
You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast. This is April the 9th, 2018. With you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Joel. Joel, the playoffs are here, and so are my Avalanche. Woo!
I'm surprised you're so happy.
Well, this is what was the hope. This wasn't even the hope. This was the pipe dream of the season, to be able to be in the playoffs like this.
They are in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard they made it.
Well, the way that you reacted throughout the last 2 weeks, I just assumed they were like second worst in the league, vying for that first overall pick.
No, I think you might have them confused with Matt Duchene's new team. We're his old team. That's not what we are.
Speaking of Matt Duchene, I find it hilarious how much there's a little bitterness there. There's a little bitterness.
There's a lot of bitterness there.
I was surprised because normally, I don't know, when guys especially since your team is better off without him, you'd think you would be happy that he's gone, which you are, but you're also a little angry at him, and I don't know why.
I think it's the fact that he essentially, he said, you're not good enough. and I want to be with a team that's better than you are, to go out and prove that we are better and that we did it without him, it's like we won the breakup, Joel. It's not like we won the breakup, we won the breakup.
I guess. I don't know. I'm sure, like, Matthew Shane will do just fine.
Well, as an individual, yes, but his goal is to make the playoffs. And now he's on a team that most likely not headed to a playoff berth next year.
Yeah, but then he'll be on a playoff team the following year, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, he'll go sign somewhere in free agency, and everything will be all right for Matty.
And he'll make a lot of money, and it'll be all right. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Like, how personal do you think, like, players take some of these things? Like, I think there's definitely some players that take things very personally, but I would say for, like, the most part, most players don't take anything personally.
I know, like, so the Avalanche themselves, they took Duchesne's antics very personally. And you could see that from the interviews when he left. And, like, a little bit when he was still there, but the fact that you had guys like Gabe Landeskog, Eric Johnson saying that we want people on our team who want to be a part of it, who want to win, and that we're moving on with those kinds of players, that's a big tell to me of how they felt about him on that squad. And, like, he wasn't happy, right? Like, when he showed up for training camp, it wasn't, I'm here for my teammates. He was, I'm here to honor my contract. So,
which is interesting though, because like they really needed him to be gone to be able to like play well. That's the thing that I find very interesting about this whole thing, because like they started playing well when he was gone, and like they like threw him under the bus, they made fun of him, they got mad about him, and I was like, but why couldn't you wake up and play good hockey before that?
I think this goes into a little bit of the question of like the mental side of the game, right? Because you look at the fancy stats and all those kinds of things, and those don't tell the tale of what happens, the locker room chemistry, the feeling of the players on that team. I think you look at that situation, and it's something where, you know, every day you're being asked about trades by the media guys coming into the room. You're hearing it on social media if you're one of those people foolish enough as a professional athlete to actually listen to what people say online about you. It's like this is something that's always on your mind, and it's essentially everyone's telling you as a team you're not good enough, so what are you going to do to fix it, to change things? You players aren't good enough for that. And I think that does weigh on you when you get to a point where you're able to then say, hey, this isn't who we are, now we can change it. I think just that weight lifted off their shoulders, whether it had to been Duchesne, obviously the guys that they kept around were the ones who wanted to be there. So,
yeah, it's interesting because, like, so could there be any chance that, like, so next year, like, I just wonder what can throw off, like, if I'm an opponent now, I'm doing everything possible to figure out how I can throw off the Avalanche, because obviously stuff gets to them.
I think like over a season and a half of something like that, yeah. If you can get that rattled by 60 minutes on the ice, you're probably not a professional hockey player. When you have to deal with something for that lengthy of a time, when you have a guy in your room who's not happy and doesn't want to be there, I think we've all worked with someone who you're like, why are you even here? Right? Like, why are you doing this? And it makes it more frustrating for everyone around them. So, yeah, we'll see. Either way, Colorado's made it. Joel can attest to the fact that I was in a state during the game on Friday night. I think you pointed out the fact that I was more fired up when they scored that first goal than you have for anything in sports in years. Yeah, like, you were very invested. And I was surprised. I was surprised, considering, like, how just, like, sad you've been about your team. And you're just, like, when they scored a goal or whatever, you're just, like, just fired up. I was surprised by that, because I was like, it was a lot. It
it was probably as big, like that's about as loud as I'm going to get if the Leafs win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think if something's going to make you sad about it, right? Like if you're going to be sad about what happens about a team, then obviously you care about it enough that when something good happens, you're going to get excited. So
it's true. It's not a knock. I was surprised on how, especially considering how sad you've been. It's just been an avalanche of emotion.
Yeah. I actually, so what we're going to get into today, we're going to get into our playoff preview. We're going to go through all the series in the first round and kind of break some of those down for you, give our thoughts on them. But just one comment to wrap this up. I was going back through, in doing some stuff for the Alberta Podcast Network, which we'll talk about more in a second. In doing that, I was listening back through some old episodes, and I knew it has been a roller coaster, but listening back from January to now, I've been a hot mess. Mm-hmm. I think that's the only way to describe it.
Yes, you have been. I wonder, I've heard things about ATB and that they listen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they would listen to you? Like, could they be a counselor for you or like a therapist in your avalanche of emotion?
You know what? I haven't checked. It's worth asking. You know, it doesn't hurt to tell them what you need. They might just direct you to a recommended psychologist, which, you know, isn't a bad idea either, perhaps. But, yeah, going off what Joel said, fine folks at ATB are proud sponsors of the Alberta Podcast Network, as well as this show. If you head to atb.com/listens, you can tell them what you need out of a bank. Probably stick to things you need out of a bank. If you have any other sort of life issues, google.com will be able to direct you to some local services that can help you. But if you're looking for banking, ATB is there for you. They want to listen. They want to know how they can help you. Whether it be for your personal side, for a business, ATB has all the tools to be able to help you. They're supporters of hockey all across Alberta, and want you to know that as hockey fans, they understand what it's like to be at the rink early in the morning and then watching your team play at the end of the night. So, atb.com/listens. Playoffs, Joel.
Just wait. I need to remind you that Bing is the official search engine of the Fourth Line podcast.
Dang it. Oh, these ad reads are hard. They're not easy. Sorry. If you need anything, Bing it. If you need something that's not banking, Bing.
Okay, continue. Playoffs.
Thank you, Joel. Playoffs. If you need to know the matchups that are happening, you could head to NHL.com, or you could just Bing it. You could search like 2018 NHL playoff matchups on Bing.
Trying a little hard there.
I've got some making up to do. Let's start with the aforementioned Avalanche. We'll just continue wrapping that up because I honestly, as much as I've been sad this year, I think it goes without saying, even as an Avalanche fan, that the Avalanche are up against it. They're up against the President's Trophy champion, Nashville Predators, a team that they were winless against this season. It doesn't take much analysis to assume that the Avalanche are going to lose. It's just a matter of how many games they're going to lose in.
I am shocked that you are picking against the Avalanche. I am shocked that is what just happened. Oh my, what is going on?
I know it's out of character for me, but I figured I'd surprise people a little bit today.
So do you think it's going to be 4, 5, 6, or 7 games?
I'm going with 5 games for the Avalanche. I think they'll win 1 at home, and then they'll lose all 3 in Nashville, and then another 1 at home.
Is Eric Johnson back yet?
No, and I do not foresee him being back in this round. So it's gonna be Jonathan Bernier in the game against the Blues. So I think that's a good preview of what to expect in a playoff game, because that was a playoff game, essentially a play-in game. They played with pretty much 5 defensemen. Mark Alt was the 6th, and he played under 10 minutes of 5-on-5 hockey that night. So they're going to be down. It's not going to be good.
I think that it'll go at least 6 games. Preds are, they're okay, but, whatever. How often do the President's Trophy winners actually win the Stanley Cup? It's not very often. Mainly because Washington has always been the President's Trophy winner for the last, 10 years. But, I don't want to agree with your reverse jinxing. I am going to pick the Preds to win this series because, come on.
Right. Sometimes it's a reverse jinx. Sometimes it's just right.
Well, in this case, you're hoping that it's a reverse jinx, but you're assuming it's just right. Except I don't believe that one a little bit because, you just have powers that we do not understand.
That's fair.
However, I don't think it matters at all that Varlamov and Eric Johnson are not in this series. At all.
I think I would give them the 6th game. It does not change the outcome of it, though.
You think Varlamov is worth a game, an extra game? I don't think so.
Yeah. I think that he could. I think that he could make it so that the Avs win 2 games at home, and then.
Yeah.
I just like that Nashville arena is so rowdy that I do not have much hope for people coming into there.
That's right, because the Avalanche have a hard time dealing with tough situations, and it gets into their head.
Mentally weak, Joel. Mentally weak.
I'm not going that far. I'm not tossing that kind of language around. But when they come against tough times, they don't always follow through. Which Pekka Rinne do we see in the playoffs here? That's the question.
I think we see the Pekka Rinne that we saw in the playoffs last year. I think we see the Pekka Rinne we've seen through the regular season this season. The guy who, not the one who was the 16th seed last year in the playoffs, but the one who led his team to a Stanley Cup, who then led them to a President's Trophy this year. The defense in front of him, solid, really works to his advantage and takes care of a lot of those situations where he might struggle.
Best player for the Preds this playoffs is going to be
Pekka Rinne. Best skater for the Preds this playoffs is going to be PK Subban.
Interesting. I really hope it's Forsberg.
As a Avalanche fan, I'm always for a Forsberg doing well, so that's fine.
Okay.
This series starts on Thursday.
Okay. So we both have the Preds going. What's the other central?
The other central matchup, this one gets started Wednesday. This is actually happens at the same time. This is one of our first games of the playoffs, Wednesday, April 11th, Minnesota at Winnipeg. Winnipeg with the home ice advantage. And as a Canadian, I support Winnipeg in this matchup. As a disliker of the Minnesota Wild, I support Winnipeg in this matchup. And as someone who has watched the Winnipeg Jets be good this year, I also picked the Jets in this matchup. So to me, it's a simple choice. But Joel, where are you sitting?
The Jets are going to win in 4 games. And it's not going to be close.
4?
This is going to be a sweep.
Wow, that's all. What makes it so solid for you?
Because the Jets are really, really good. So I don't think, I don't know. I don't think they can win a Stanley Cup because I'm not convinced the West is all that good. I don't think the top teams in the West are as good as the top teams in the East.
Yeah, especially if you're looking at the division winners for sure, right? Yeah.
And so I think Winnipeg and Connor Hellebuck had a great year. There's no can't take that away from him, but I don't know what he's going to do in the playoffs. Yeah,
that's a fact.
So Minnesota's awful. There's just in the playoffs you need guys that are just going to that can win games for you all on their own.
Yeah.
And the Jets have guys that can do that, and the Wild don't have guys that can do that.
Yeah. Minnesota Wild, one of the biggest things that is going to be a struggle for them, Ryan Suter gone. So that's their workhorse. You get down to, how many games in the playoffs do you see you have your number one defenseman? Ryan Suter is notorious for this. You have your number one defenseman playing in a double overtime game, and they're clocking, over 30 minutes, coming close to 40 minutes of time on ice. And they don't have that. They don't have that workhorse defenseman that's going to be able to really carry them through this. I think that is going to be the biggest thing that holds them back, is just that lack of solid defense that they can trust. And not to say that the rest of them aren't, right? Jared Spurgeon, Matt Dumba, they're fine, but they're no Ryan Suter.
Well, and who are you going to put? Because my guess is he would have been on line A, right? That's you'd be out there every time line A is on the ice, and you don't have that now, and that's a big deal. So I don't think this is going to be close. I think Winnipeg is winning in 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go Winnipeg in 4 as well.
There you go. Sweep City.
There, we did it. Next up is, let's go to the Pacific. We'll stay out west. We'll finish this up. Pacific Division. Another matchup that starts on. Joel's showing me his Tupperware for some reason.
Because you showed me your book.
Oh,
so I wanted to show you something too.
Okay. That was just me. I don't know why I was doing that. Vegas and Los Angeles. Let's get started at 10 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday as well. Vegas. Everyone's excited. I think it goes without saying, a shock that they're in the playoffs, a shock that they won the division. To me, I wanted so hard to say that they were going to lose this round, but then I looked at them versus the Kings. It was a hard choice. Help me here, Joel. Help decide for me.
Kings in 7. I think this is going to be a long series. I don't think Vegas has definitely not been as good lately. They started off real great. They I don't know, they lost huge to Calgary at the end of the season. You don't want it, it's not a great way to go into the playoffs.
For sure. Once they had it wrapped up, their record slipped significantly.
And Marc-Andre Fleury in the playoffs. Right?
I guess that, you asked the question of which Pekka Rinne do we get. The bigger question is which Marc-Andre Fleury do we get?
I think we know what we're going to get.
I don't think we do, because Marc-Andre Fleury in the playoffs has been great the last few years. And so I look at that and I'm like, I think we're getting good Marc-Andre Fleury, because I don't think that inside of him there is a bad Marc-Andre Fleury for sure. But we have not seen that this year at all. He has been on top of his game. He is the reason that this team is where it is.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the Kings are the Kings. We know what they are. They're going to play grinding hockey. They're not going to be quick. See what I did there?
Hey-o.
But I don't think. I don't know. It's going. I really think this series is going 7, or it's going Vegas in 4. Those are the options. It's going to be Kings in 7 or Vegas in 4. It's either the Kings are going to grind it out and pull up the upset, or Vegas is just going to stomp on the Kings and it's going to be over quickly. I think it's going to be a long series. I think it's going to be an interesting series to watch. I don't know if it's going to be a fun series to watch. This, nothing has me wanting to watch this series at all. There's a couple series that are like that.
Yeah, this one is going to be, Vegas is a very fast team. Los Angeles is a much less fast of a team. So I think if Vegas wins, it'll be a fun series. If LA wins, it'll be a mediocre at best series. And especially, for us, it's better. These games are going to start at 8, 9 o'clock. Probably 8 o'clock. All of them are going to start Mountain Time for us. For everyone else, if this game's going into overtime, like if you're on the East Coast, that's a 1 o'clock overtime start. So I don't think many people are going to be watching this series as it is.
I'm not even like I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, when we've got to get up for work the next day, I'm glad I've only got 2 more weeks. Yeah, so this gets started on Wednesday. The other matchup in that division, starting on the Pacific Coast, Anaheim managed to pass San Jose, getting home ice advantage. The Sharks at the Ducks. This is a series, after watching the Ducks last year as kind of the same line of if LA wins, it's going to be boring. If Anaheim is winning this series or any series, it's going to be terrible to watch. The Anaheim Ducks play the least entertaining third period of hockey I have seen in a very, very long time. Their shutdown game is frustratingly good.
I'm super excited to see if Evander Kane is going to be better than John Gibson. Because I feel like Evander Kane's been pretty good since going to the Sharks.
And John Gibson's been pretty injured.
Is he injured right now?
He was at the end of the year. He did not play the last few games. He got hurt. Actually, I think he got hurt in the Avalanche game. I believe that game they were playing. Yeah. So he is currently out. They have not said if he will or will not be ready for Game 1 of this series. I expect that he's in.
At least that they have probably one of the most competent backup goalies in.
I'd say probably the best number 2 for sure.
Yes, you're you don't like it because Gibson has had a really good year, so you kind of want him. You definitely want him.
You want yeah.
That's no
if
question.
You're picking, that's for sure.
But
how injured of a John Gibson is better than Ryan Miller is the question that they'll have to answer.
Because if both are healthy, you're 75%, 80%.
Yeah.
Ryan Miller is about 80% of what John Gibson is, where most backups are 60%.
Yeah. So you definitely want to go that route. So, and John Gibson getting hurt was a big part of why the Ducks lost last year to the Nashville Predators with Jonathan Bernier in net. So that tells a thing.
This begs the question. Is John Gibson injury prone?
Is he the Steven Stamkos of goaltenders?
Yes.
That goes without saying that John Gibson is injury prone, that they need to have a good goalie as a backup who probably should be getting more of the workload than what Ryan Miller got this year. He essentially only had a significant role during the times when John Gibson was hurt. So, starting 21 games, the fact that you let Gibson start 3/4 of them when he's not always the healthiest, probably not the best of ideas.
I was going to say that. I was because we were talking about earlier this week about how Freddie Anderson just plays all the games and how Babcock refuses to let McElhinney play, especially when they had literally nothing to play for. And Anderson only played 6 more games than John Gibson.
Yeah.
That's a mistake, right? That's a big mistake when you have Ryan Miller there and Gibson gets hurt. So, is that where this series does the series come down to John Gibson's health? Who do you have winning? If Gibson's healthy and playing, who wins?
So if Gibson's healthy and playing, it's close. I probably have the Ducks in 7. They also have Cam Fowler dealing with injury problems right now. They are not the healthiest of teams.
Cam Fowler's out.
Yeah, exactly. So, for me, I have the Sharks in my bracket. I have the Sharks winning this series. For the biggest reason, because of John Gibson's struggles. So, I don't fully trust in him being healthy.
Yeah, I think Sharks win this either way. It's just a matter of whether they if John Gibson's hurt, you probably win it in 5 or 6. If he's if he plays 6 or 7. I think Sharks win either way. Who do you have? So before we jump to the East, who do you have coming out of the West?
So this is something that I have changed my Stanley Cup. I've changed the East a fair amount. I've changed the East a bunch. The West I have not changed. Certainly, even after we finish this show, I will probably change my East again. Coming out of the West, I have Nashville.
Okay, so do I. That's who I have.
So I have, quick recap, I guess, let's just share who we have. I have San Jose beating Vegas in the second round, Nashville beating the Jets, and then Nashville beating San Jose to go to the Stanley Cup.
I'm going to take Nashville. I think Jets win, Kings win, Sharks win, however that breaks down into...
And we'll touch on this more as we get closer, especially if it's true, but who did you have, Kings versus Sharks?
I don't know. I haven't really thought that far along. I tried to do a bracket. I tried to log on to NHL and do a bracket. It won't let me. So I might not get a bracket, and I've tried twice.
It is a better site this year. If you go to our Twitter or our Facebook, you'll see links there. If you go to the episode description for this, just whatever on the phone or computer you're using, there'll be a link in there to go play. So go do that. That would be a good choice for you. All right, to the East.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it. I just picked... in preparations, I just picked who was coming out of the East and West, and then just the first round matchups. So I hadn't thought about the second round matchups. Well, apparently, I should think of that.
If you're going to fill out a bracket, you do have to fill out
the whole way.
You'll have to make one other choice. You've already picked Nashville. You're going to have them over Winnipeg. You're going to have them over whoever wins San Jose, LA. So just pick one of them.
It's probably San Jose.
Probably is. All right, to the East, Joel. Do you want to start with your Leafs?
No.
All right, let's start with the... You might get... Oh, that's... I've got good news for you, Joel. It's fine. Let's start with the Battle of Pennsylvania. That starts up on Wednesday. That's the third game on Wednesday. We've got 5 on Thursday, 3 Wednesday, 5 Thursday. This is a 7 o'clock Eastern time start as well. Philadelphia at Pittsburgh. This seems like the most lopsided of matchups. Am I right?
Really? I'm happy to hear you say that, considering Preds are playing the Avalanche.
That's true. Yeah, never mind. This is the second most lopsided matchup.
That being said...
This is in the East. I meant in the East, obviously.
I don't know. No, this is not the most lopsided in the East. This isn't... Yeah, I don't know where you're coming from there, but like Tampa Jersey is much more lopsided. But that being said, I got the Penguins in 5, so that's going to be it's not going to go well for Philly.
No, I don't foresee. This is start of the year. I believe I picked Pittsburgh to three-peat, and this matchup to start off certainly helps them. Claude Giroux putting himself with a late push to put himself in the Calder race, putting himself in the Art
Calder
Ross.
race.
Let's talk about the Hart. Maybe we'll give him. I wouldn't call him a rookie. So yeah, maybe the MVP. Let's give him the Hart.
Nate McKinnon's winning that, and it's not close.
Yes. But Claude Giroux having himself a season. But the Penguins, the depth that they have, the way that they can roll out line after line after line, I just find it very difficult to see them losing to the Flyers.
They're not going to lose. Like, the Flyers, I always, all year I forgot that the Flyers were in the playoffs. Like, they're just a team that nobody thinks of. Like, who's their goalie, right? Is it Elliott or is it, Nerverth? Who's their goalie? I don't even know. Yeah. I think it's Elliott. I think that's the guy who's been playing the most.
That is the one that they'll be riding into the playoffs for that.
That's not good. You're not excited about that. We all know that 2 years ago, Carl would be super excited about that. But nobody's excited about that now. Like, I'm not even sure Mrs. Elliott is all that excited about it.
What about Missy Elliott? Is she excited about it?
No.
All right.
Does she even know that hockey exists?
I don't think so. I would probably argue no.
If you asked her, like, do you know what hockey is? She would be like, what? That's...
So, I just doing some confirmation. Missy Elliott is going to be disappointed. Brian has only played 2 games since February the 10th. So certainly some injuries in there holding that back, but...
oh, they have Mrazek.
Yes.
And Nervous. They have all of these goalies.
They will be riding the... Yeah, I don't even think you'd want to be riding the Peter Mrazek train. That's gone poorly for them as well. The Peter Mrazek experiment can end all across the board.
He played 17 games for them, though.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. We're talking about a team that I have no idea who plays on this team and when.
And how. Like, it's... Yeah.
So 22 for Nerve. How do you say that guy's name?
Neuwirth?
Neuwirth?
Yeah.
Then you have 17 for Mrazek, and the rest are Brian Elliott, probably.
Yeah. So, and Mrazek's been getting the majority of the starts since the trade. He has been the number 1 there. So, he's the guy, but that doesn't excite anyone.
I can't imagine the, pretty much last place Detroit Red Wings fans would be like, yeah, that's a good idea, guys.
Right.
I don't think so. Do the Penguins ever slow down? Like, what year do they slow down?
Probably the year that, much like the Sedins, that Crosby and Malkin simultaneously retire.
It's going to be a long time from now.
That's what?
They're what?
7 years down the road? 8 years down the road?
Yeah, that's because Crosby's 31, 32 at the most? He's not...
Well, he would be 31.
So
his 87 and his $8.7 million contract are from his 1987 birth year.
Wow, look at that. So, okay. Well, Penguins in 5. You got Penguins in
5.
Okay.
I might have actually put, because on the bracket thing that the NHL.com wouldn't let you log into, you do actually, as a bonus round, pick how many games. I either put 4 or 5. Let's say 5. So that takes us to the other Metro matchup, which is the Washington Capitals versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Washington Capitals, team that I jumped off the bandwagon for, and certainly still think that they have a good team. That's no question about that. But the biggest change for them, if we're looking at goaltending situations being changed, Joel knows as well as anyone my love for Braden Holtby, which has been slowed down by the fact that he's not currently starting for the Washington Capitals. Philip Grubauer is the number 1 piece there. And I think if you're looking at that, that is, to me, the biggest thing that could tip the scales here is that I don't think that's the best call. I think, sure, Braden Holtby, not his best of seasons, but if you are not going with, start your studs, Joel. That's the mantra.
Is that, but Holtby's had a rough year.
He has.
And so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because they haven't, so Barry Trotz hasn't officially said who is or is not starting in the playoffs. If you were him, who would you start?
Holtby.
And it's not close to me. It's not.
Clear. Yeah, let's all be clear. It's gonna be, you should start Holtby, and I don't know. I don't think it's there's not really that big of a thing going on here. The Capitals, they're gonna win. They're gonna beat Columbus. Columbus, they just don't have it in them. I don't know. They're a good team. They have a lot of players that I like, but I just don't think they have it in them to beat the Capitals. I like the Capitals this year.
I think because the post sleeper,
the post hype sleeper. Yeah, that's totally what this is. They're super, they're just super quiet. they're going to just sneak through. I have them winning this probably in 6 games. I think this is probably going to be one of the closest. This might actually be one of the most enjoyable series to watch.
I think it could be very good. Yeah, both of these teams have some pretty good offensive talent. And if it becomes a situation where the goaltending is not up to snuff for Washington, they're just going to be going guns out trying to score all the goals. Which could mean you have a Bobrovsky show happening, because he can obviously can keep up with just about any goaltender in the league. Not just about any goaltender in the league. Night in, night out, Sergei Bobrovsky can do anything that he needs to win you a game.
So no, I'm in on the Capitals this year. I think they're going to be good. I think Ovechkin's had a great year.
So I guess this is the question then. If this is the year that you think they're the post-type sleeper, do they have what it takes to beat Pittsburgh in the second round? We both have that matchup happening again in the second round. Washington repeatedly loses. Is this the year?
Probably.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they do. We could see how it plays out, obviously, but I really think they do have what it takes to beat Pittsburgh this year. But let's go up to the Atlantic Division. Division winners backed their way into the division lead. Tampa versus Jersey. I think this is the most lopsided matchup.
I do now recall this, in picking mine, is the only sweep that I have selected in the first round.
I'm pretty sure you said another sweep at some point in time.
I think I said Philly versus Pittsburgh, that I either picked a 4 or 5. I believe. I haven't actually gone and pulled it up because I don't think it'll let me see it again, but this one I picked as a sweep.
So, some news. I actually was able to log in while we were doing this. So I do have a bracket, but it named it really weird. So
okay.
So yeah. Anyways, yeah. Okay. So you go Tampa at 4. I'm going Tampa at 4. I think Tampa totally lucked out by not having Vasilevsky and Stammer. They're both battling injuries right now. Probably not long term, but they have the team that they can kind of if they don't play Stamkos in this series, they're totally fine.
Yeah, you can beat without him. You can't beat him without Vasilevsky, but you can give him the time. If he is banged up, which he certainly is to a degree, you can give him some time to rest up at the end of this matchup.
Nah, they could beat this. They could beat the Devils without Vasilevsky. They're sweeping this. They'll sweep Hedman could play goal and they'd sweep.
Just in skater gear or in goalie equipment?
Skater gear.
Interesting. Okay. Just lead the rush up. I think that's an acceptable strategy.
Jersey is not good.
Yeah, they're Taylor Hall. And as a team who is run by one player, it goes as that player goes. Nathan McKinnon went 9 games without a goal to end the season for the Avalanche, and they borderline backed their way into the playoffs. So certainly, lots to go off of there. Yeah, New Jersey, good on them getting back into the playoffs. They're a team that will continue to get better into the future, but this is not the year, and I think they're aware of that. Which brings us, Joel, to the last matchup. A matchup that you most certainly did not want to see. Is this correct?
I don't think it mattered. I wasn't excited about, Toronto got hosed with the matchup regardless. They were I think they finished with the same amount of points as Washington. And so, they would have finished on top of the other division, but instead are finishing third and have to go into Boston. It's going to be a massacre.
So Washington did hold whatever tiebreaker there was between Washington and Toronto. So Toronto, I don't think they got that screwed. Certainly Boston finished with more points. If we were working off of a 1 to 8 seeded tournament, you'd be playing the Penguins.
At home, though. That's the big difference. Toronto's a much better home team than they are a road team.
Okay, I can get behind that.
So they're not they would still finish fourth, but you get home ice in that first round, which I would much rather play Pittsburgh at home. Boston and Tampa are the two best teams as far as I'm concerned.
And I'll let you continue.
And so Boston is a really good team. They're going to show, they're not happy. I can't believe they lost to Florida. You know how upset I would be if I was a Boston fan, and the fact, because, choose. Do you want to play Jersey or do you want to play Toronto in the first round? Which of those teams would you much...
Yeah, I think that's a silly question, even.
So, Boston has to be upset about this. They're letting Tampa get healthy. I dislike Boston so much, but they are setting themselves up. They are setting themselves up to not do as well as they could, but I still think they're gonna I think they're gonna come out of the East. That's my guess.
I most certainly disagree with that assessment. I have the Toronto Maple Leafs winning this series.
That's because you don't like me, and you are trying to reverse jinx them into losing.
Joel, look, okay. Me and you have had a number of disagreements throughout this season. And I think we can ascertain the fact, if I had to pick between you or anything from Boston, no matter what you would have to fall out of my good graces to the very bottom to be even remotely close that I would be reverse jinxing the Boston Bruins to beat you. This is not. I have put up with a lot of you claiming reverse jinxes this year. This is not that.
So you really think Toronto's going to pull this out?
I really think Toronto will pull this out. I'm struggling to find the numbers that I gave to you earlier this week. Toronto better against the Bruins this year. They have won. Here, I'll do it the hard way. Boston versus Toronto. They have played, 5 times this year. Toronto won in overtime. They won the next day. That was a home and home. They won that game. They lost 4-1 back in February. They won 4-3 later in February. So they are 3-1 against the Boston Bruins this year. The one game that they lost was in Boston, and had a solid output from Tuukka Rask. It was 23 saves on 24 shots. Yeah, certainly that was a game, but 3-1 this year, Joel, with wins in Boston. That's all you need to know. You did it during the regular season. You can do it now. This team is better than they were at the start of the year. They continually improve throughout. Everyone's healthy. They managed to pull off a stretch. Was it February when Austin Matthews was out of the lineup?
He was out of the, February, March. He missed 20 games or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah. So, for example, the February 24th game in Boston that you won, or in Toronto, you won. No Austin Matthews in the lineup. You have beat the Boston Bruins without your best player in the lineup this year. There are so many reasons. Not just why I want you to beat Boston, but why you should be able to beat Boston. This Toronto team is, you've gotten Mitch Marner going. You've managed to sort out the fact that who was it? Uncle Leo was on that line. You discovered maybe don't put him on a line that matters. So put him with good players, he'll score. You've got Matthews and Nylander playing fantastic. You've got Freddie playing lights out. Boston needs to be at their best to be able to beat this Toronto team right now.
But I think they can be. Tuukka Rask he's had a phenomenal year. Tuukka Rask is who do you think wins Vezina?
Probably Rask.
I think it's Rask. And I don't know. I think I'm interested. I'm actually interested to see if Babcock actually decides to go with Kapanen and Johansson over the likes of Leo Komarov, and I don't know who else they would play. Like, for some reason, Komarov is going to play in this series because he's going to be like, we need like big, like grindy players to play against Boston. And you're just like, or we could just try and outskate them because that's what we do when we win. I don't know.
This will be the test to see if all of the lineup shenanigans and games that Babcock's playing, like, where do you think we see a lot of Leo in this series?
I think we see a lot of Leo, and I think we see a lot of Roman Polak, and it's going to make me so angry. Well, it's gonna, yeah. Obviously, I want the Leafs to win this. I just don't think they're going to. I just don't think they can slay the dragon. They're gonna because they're gonna have to deal with the 3-1 or whatever, that 8-1, whatever lead they blew 10 years ago that haunts my dreams every night.
But no one from this, like, what, Morgan Riley was the only guy on that team? Kadri was JVR on that team?
Tyler Bozak.
Okay, so that's four guys. Not the core of this team by any means.
No, but it's going to be there. And the media in Toronto is not going to let it go. And I think the Leafs are a lot like the Colorado Avalanche in that they just let Steve Simmons get up all in their business.
Yeah. Has Steve Simmons ever challenged anyone to an MMA fight? Because that could be another similarity between the Avalanche and the Leafs media. Yeah, it's I don't foresee that being an issue here. I think there's enough people. The coaching staff is different. So many of the players are different. That is a different team. That is a different legacy that they had then than now. I don't see that being a problem.
The difficulty thing, like, really, man, Tampa they really lucked out. They lucked out that Boston couldn't put up one good game against Florida, because I think they're going to really, like, as much as I think Boston comes out of the East, I think they can, but, like, the other option is Tampa gets to beat up on a team that just came out of the Boston-Toronto series, because it's going to be a hard series. The Boston-Toronto series. I don't know. So you've got Toronto winning how many games?
I have Toronto winning in 6.
I don't know if I have it in me for a 6-game series versus Boston. It's going to be miserable. Just so you know, if it goes 6, 2 of those are on Monday nights.
Well, that's going to make for some fun recording. I do know that there are currently plans for chicken wings and hockey on Thursday for us, watching some Leafs, watching some Avs. So that is our plans. Make sure that no matter what you are doing this playoffs, that you have appropriate snacks for your hockey games. I think that's the number one thing that we should make people aware of. Joel, who do you have coming out of the East?
So everything in me says Boston, but in my bracket and in my heart, I just can't bring myself to do that. So I'm going Washington.
Very, very interesting. And as I said, I have changed and flip-flopped. So my final 4 are Tampa, Toronto, Washington, Pittsburgh. I have Pittsburgh in the Cup Finals right now over Tampa, which I literally just changed because Joel convinced me to not pick Toronto over Tampa. So Joel was persuasive enough to change my bracket. We'll see if it sticks. I have until Wednesday night to lock it in. I've got 48 more hours to make a million changes to this. As it stands right now, I have Nashville winning the Stanley Cup.
I have the Washington Capitals winning the Stanley Cup.
I can't help but feel like this is a little bit trolly on your behalf.
It is not at all. I just think I'm fully buying into the post-hype sleeper. I think this is finally the year. How many articles have you seen written about how the Washington Capitals can't win in the playoffs?
Dozens, millions, hundreds, trillions.
This year.
I stopped reading them because they're all the same. But I've seen them for sure. I've seen them exist.
I haven't seen any.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen any. I don't go out looking for Washington Capitals articles, but like over the last few years, they were everywhere. They're not everywhere anymore. I don't doubt that they're there, but like it's not making national news as far as like the national media in the NHL. Like no one's talking about them.
So here is, if you search on Bing.com.
How many of these are local and how many of them are national?
So we're going to Washington Capitals news on Bing. I'm glad to know that you can search just for news on Bing.com. That is a nice feature that they have there. ESPN, second article from 5 hours ago. Washington Capitals confident about Stanley Cup playoffs with lower expectations.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally what I'm saying. And like, did you just list ESPN as national news for the NHL? Come on.
Here's a fan-cited
on.
article from 2 hours ago. 2018 is the year Washington Capitals finally shake Stanley Cup playoff curse.
So there you go. They're agreeing with me. All the articles were like, Capitals can't win in the playoffs. See?
There are none about if they should or should not. Yeah, there's none about them being a bad playoff team as of right now. So either Bing is misleading me or they don't exist.
Bing never lets us down. So that's it. I'm excited by this. I'm excited playoffs are here. I'm excited that I'm excited by the teams that we have that we think are going to do well. We could be terribly wrong, and let's all hope it's not a Philly-Minnesota finals because we all know I'm not watching that.
If the Ducks make the finals, that will be the worst Stanley Cup final since Kings-Rangers. That one was pretty bad from what I recall.
Ottawa Ducks.
Ottawa. Oh, yeah. There you go. So since the last time the Ducks made the finals, it'll be the worst since that.
So what are we doing for high sticking for playoffs?
That's the thing we need. Okay, high sticking. What things we've done. I'm glad Joel's on top of things. Okay.
Running out of time here.
Yeah, I know. That's fair. I don't know how long we've been going. Oh, look at that. Okay, high sticking for the playoffs. We are going to be doing every single game. So if you think that we've changed the rules the last round and said anything is possible. So if you have a 1 point, if you have 50 points, put the names in a hat, which we are going to do a draw at the end of this episode to see who wins this round of high sticking. We will send them their choice of a fourth line mini stick or a fourth line puck. Every round of the playoffs, we will do the same thing, playing every single game, every single night. So we will send out the tweets. You can email them in if you want to send us all 28. We don't know if the games will happen, but they might. So it's going to be all the games, all the time. It'll be a ton of fun being able to pick every game. It now will matter for that. So that's what we're doing for high sticking. Do you want to do the draw?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to pull up the old thing. There were 124 correct points handed out this playoffs. The winner, now that you've done that, can we get a drum roll, perhaps? There it is, number 99, which belongs to Logan Rendula. Congrats to Logan, winner of this round of high sticking. Send us a DM or an email. You can DM us on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast or mail at thefourthlinepodcast.com. Send us your information so that we can send you what you want. And also let us know what it is that you want. If you want the stick or the puck, let us know. So Joel, we're clearing the slate clean, wiping it clean. High sticking is happening throughout the playoffs. You can play on Twitter. You can play on the Pinterests. You can play wherever you feel like playing.
Don't play on Pinterest. We will not look at it.
Can you send people messages on Pinterest? I don't even know.
I don't know. All I look at is baking and barbecue.
That's fair. That is not bad ideas there. Any last thoughts before we wrap up this playoff preview?
Poor Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly not in the playoffs, Matt Duchene not in the playoffs. It's a curse to leave the Avalanche, I'm telling you.
Is it?
Don't do it, kids. Don't do it.
Ryan O'Reilly being sad about never winning in Buffalo. John Tavares not answering questions about going to staying in New York. Did you see what his comment about the World Cup of Hockey?
The World Championships or the World,
I don't know.
the thing coming up in the offseason here? Yeah. Well, what did he say?
He's not playing because he doesn't want to get hurt, which I was like, that's really smart because he doesn't have a contract. I don't know if he said that or they're just assuming that.
Yeah. That seems smart. Yeah, he's not playing in the World Championships, so.
Did you all just hear Henry just screaming?
No.
Oh, okay. He totally just broke into my room and screamed at me, but I thought I caught the mic. I wasn't sure.
That's clutch.
Yeah, I know. That was pretty good.
It was a good save. You went full Freddie Anderson on that one.
Or Tuukka Rask.
No. Freddie. All right, Joel. You can find us on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast, Facebook.com/The Fourth Line Podcast, TheFourthLinePodcast.com. We want to remind you, Joel's got a symbol for us here.
That's the symbol for the Alberta Podcast Network.
Okay. Yeah. Is that the symbol?
No, it's not.
Okay.
You go and follow them on Twitter at Alberta Podcast Network. I don't know what their Twitter handle is, but if you search Alberta Podcast Network on Twitter, you'll find them.
You will most certainly find them. If you were to go, it is the Alberta Pod Net on Twitter. Alberta Podcast Network is a lot of characters. That's a few too many.
They have all sorts of shows that you can go and listen to. That is powered by ATB. There's tons of, I don't know, there's all sorts of shows. There's like education podcasts. There are other sports podcasts. There's technology. I think there's is there relationship ones? I even think or just like lifestyle ones.
Yeah, there's definitely
all
some
sorts
lifestyle
of
ones. There's history. If there is a topic that you care about, especially if you are someone from Alberta, if you like Alberta history, if you like politics, there's political podcasts. That's not something that I personally, politics just makes me sad sometimes. So I try to steer clear of certain things in that area. But if you're into that, there is a lot for you. Most specifically, if you're into Bollywood movies, they have something there for you.
There's this one called I Don't Get It. And it offers a critical perspective on performances of all kinds. So if you like performance of anything, listen to that show.
Yeah, that's like a performing arts. So it's not like I don't get why the Ottawa Senators make such terrible choices. I don't think those are the kinds of performances they're critiquing, but I could be wrong. I hope that they do critique the Ottawa Senators at some point.
Are we going to go watch some playoffs?
We're going to wait 48 hours because the NHL is like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to kill all momentum, give them a bunch of days off. So we are going to wrap this up. We're going to go out and, there's some baseball on. There's families. Joel's son who barged in, he might go hang out with him for an hour or so till it's time for bed.
Something like that. And then we're going to gather ourselves on Thursday at a place that serves chicken wings. We're going to watch hockey. I'm going to finally give Carl his birthday present.
Yes.
Hey, the fact that it's been so long, I have since added to the birthday present. So it's kind of like I'm giving you it with interest.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Enjoy playoffs. They start on Wednesday. I hope that your teams do well, especially if I pick them in the bracket, and unless you cheer for Boston.
I don't hope any of your teams do well. I really would like to see how our friendship would last through an Avalanche-Toronto finals, and so that's what I'm hoping for.
I think that would be a big reverse jinx-off, I think is what we would experience there.
I don't think so. I think it would just be breaking. I think we would break. I think we'd have to take a podcast hiatus.
That would be the angriest podcast of them all.
It would just, seriously, it would be so sad. Because, one of us would be incredibly happy and one of us would be incredibly sad. And if you were a good friend, you would hope that the Leafs win because the Avs have won in your lifetime.
Twice.
Yeah, so you should actually be happy that the Leafs win if they do, if we were playing each other.
Yeah, but I wouldn't cheer. You know what? Let's cross that road when we come to it.
I don't know what will happen if that happens, but Boom City.